Hey everybody, you're watching Ready Set Drone, and today I want to show you the Bugs 2 from MJX RC. Now what's really cool is not only do I have the Bugs 2, which is this one, the Bugs 2C, I also have the Bugs 2W. So they look very similar from what you can tell based on the box and everything. But I'm going to try and figure out what the difference between them is. They are about $100 or so different in cost. So I want to figure out what the differences are, give you a review of them collectively as the Bugs 2, and take you through the pros and cons. So stay tuned. All right, so I'm going to start off with a little background on the Bugs quadcopters. The MJX RC Bugs 3 was a huge hit that came out about a year ago, fall of 2016, and it was really popular. Brushless quad, could carry an action camera, carry a GoPro or a knockoff action camera. Great flips, really good flight characteristics. I did a review of it and it was a really popular review. I actually installed a gimbal on it, bought a aftermarket Walkera gimbal, and was able to put it on, and lots of interest in that. So I've really enjoyed the Bugs 3. Also, this spring, the Bugs 8 and Bugs 6 came out. Now the Bugs 8 and 6 are two quads that are also very similar, like the Bugs 2 B2C and B2W, like the two I have right here. The only difference really was one came with the camera installed and one you had to install the camera on, but they're FPV racers. Really cool quadcopters, worth checking out. I've enjoyed racing with the Bugs 8, actually a fair amount. I use it as just sort of a learning one to do some wild tricks and flips and stuff like that. But today we're talking about the Bugs 2. Now the Bugs 2 is a camera quadcopter. It has GPS, and I'm talking about both of the versions I have. Both have GPS, they both have IOC, or Intelligent Orientation Control, which is also known as headless mode. They both use Barometer Hold. They both supposedly have a return to home function, which is really nice because they have GPS. I don't know if the Bugs 2C actually has the ability to do a live view, or if it does, if it will go that same range. We'll test that out. But otherwise, I can't tell any major differences. They both have the same GPS and a lot of the same features. So what we're going to do is, first of all, give you some basics on them, because there is one important thing you need to know before you go any further. Then we're going to take them out and fly them both and do a little comparison and just kind of overall review of them. So they both have this proprietary battery, which I'm always bummed about a proprietary battery. I wish they would just use one that had a standard XT60 or XT30 connector on it, or Dean's connector or something. But they have this proprietary battery that has a little slot here that slips inside the back of the quad, and then there's actually a balance port on the battery, and you can see it's a 2S battery if you're familiar with balance ports. If there's 3 wires, it's a 2S battery. If there's 4 wires, it's a 3S battery, etc. This one is a 1800 milliamp hour 2S battery, and it is a lithium LiPo, lithium poly battery, lithium polymer. And it slips right in here in the back. Now, I don't believe there is an on-off switch on this guy. I think when you put it in, it immediately fires up. There go the lights. So here's the biggest thing you need to know. Yesterday, I actually was trying to do a review of this thing, and I was out in the field, and I had someone there to shoot for me and was ready to get some good footage of it flying around, etc. Well, unfortunately, I could never get it off the ground. And I, first of all, had to bind the remote control to it. Now the way you bind the remote control is you hold down this red button up here on the top, the lock button, and I'm not going to do it now because it'll actually start the motors. But if it isn't bound, you hold it down and you turn the switch on, and then you plug in the battery. And by doing that, it binds, that tells it to go into bind mode, and it will bind the remote to the quad. This one was not bound when I got it, and so it's supposed to be bound, so you shouldn't have to do that. I did that, and I was able to see the signal from the transmitter, which is these little lines right here. It told me, okay, I'm getting a signal from the transmitter. Once you've done that, then this button becomes the button that arms the motors and actually spins them up and also stops them. Automatic takeoff, return to home, camera, And then this little switch right down here is for satellites. So if you're gonna use the GPS, you switch it over there. If you want to not use the GPS, turn it over there. And then the advantage of not using the GPS is the thing actually flies a little bit smoother and faster. GPS is always wanting to break it where it is. So using the GPS is great if you're wanting to be able to hold in place, or even if you get into a situation where you just need to stop it. You know, it's like flying out of control and you just want it to stop, hit the GPS and it should stop where it is if you have enough satellites. And then this switch is for your headless mode, which allows you to fly it where it's oriented, whichever way the yaw is facing, it's still oriented the same way and you don't have to worry about what the front and the back is on it. It's beginner mode kind of thing. I prefer not to fly in headless mode, but it's great if you're just starting out. So yesterday I couldn't get the motors to spin up. I knew that the control was bound with the quad, but the motors would not spin up no matter what I did. And I realized there are two other steps you have to do. You have to calibrate the accelerometers, which is very easy to do. You just pull both sticks down and to the left. These lights will blink green and then they'll go into this sequence here. And then once they're done, they'll stop. And that means the accelerometers have been calibrated. That basically tells the drone what level looks like. So now it knows this is level. If you were to plug the drone in and it was sitting at an angle like this, it would think this was level, and so it would always want to pull to the right, and it wouldn't be a good flying experience. So calibrating the accelerometers allows you to actually make sure that it's going to fly with great characteristics. The other thing you have to do is calibrate the compass. Now the way you calibrate the compass is you basically hold it up and you spin it 3 times flat. And after you've done that, you see the lights went from yellow to green, and then you hold it vertically and you spin it 3 times vertically. And after you've done that, we get to the red in the front and the yellow in the back, which is its steady state. Now the motor should spin up. I will say that the button to spin them up is very sensitive about spin up, but it seems to take a second for them to spin down. So keep in mind that once it's on the ground, or if you're about to take off and you want to spin the motors down, it takes a couple of seconds for that to happen. So again, if for some reason you know that your controller's bound because you have the green light on, but it still isn't taking off or spinning up, you do down and to the left to do your accelerometer calibration, which it's doing right now. And that's all it has to do this time. But if it hadn't been done yet, then you calibrate the compass by spinning it 3 times in its normal position, then aiming the nose up and spinning it 3 times, and then it'll be ready to go. So the Bugs 2 does have a micro SD slot right here in the bottom. And so you're gonna slide your micro SD in there and do that. And then in order to take photos, you're gonna push this button in the upper right, or to do video, you hold it down and then the little video light, video icon will start blinking like that, which tells you that you're recording video. Okay, so I've got the Bugs 2W here. Pull the battery out of this one real quick. So the battery's not in this one. I have to say the Bugs 2W actually feels a little bit heavier than the Bugs 2C. Let's just take a quick look at the scale and see if they're different. Now this is without the battery, and I believe the batteries are the same, so I think you could use them across the board. The Bugs 2C weighs 324 grams. 325 grams. The Bugs 2W weighs 333 grams, 334. So about 10 grams more. And I'm gonna bet you that's the Wi-Fi module in the Bugs 2W. So slightly heavier, although, you know, they're still both pretty lightweight. So here's the battery, same thing, same type battery, same specs on this, I believe. Yeah, 1800 milliamp hours, 2S battery. And I'm pretty confident that the white one would fit into the black. As a matter of fact, we'll just give it a try. Yep. And I also am pretty confident that the remote control for one would work on the other. There we go. So now we know that this one is ready to go. This is the B2W. I'm going to go ahead and look and see if there is a Wi-Fi signal coming out of it. And yes, Bugs MJX 044D. So I just connected to it. Of course, my phone is never happy about connecting to these quads. It always says security risk, but that's just because it doesn't know what it is. I'm going to hit the Bugs app, start it up, and there's our live view of the Bugs app. There's me. Hello. Okay, so I'm out here today with the Bugs 2. This is the Bugs 2C, the B2C. This is the one that does not have Wi-Fi. And I've got 17 satellites according to the remote control, as well as I have flown it just a tiny bit, but 3/4 of a battery. But what I want to do right now is test the GPS in this wind. So it's blowing about 12 miles an hour right now, and I've got the GPS on. So I'm going to park it right here in front of the camera and see how well it holds in place. Okay, what I'm going to do is park it over here where we can see it and just see how well it holds in this breeze. So back it up just a little bit so it's not right on me. Take it up a little higher. Okay, I'm going to step out of the way and I'll just narrate from over here. I am not touching the sticks at this point, and I'm just waiting to see how well it holds in place. There is a 12 to 19 mile an hour wind according to my wind compass app, and it seems to be doing okay against it. Now there is a switch that turns off the satellites, turns off the GPS, and when I switch it right here, you're going to see it start to drift in the breeze. Now I'm going to switch it back on and it catches itself. You didn't see that, but it did. Okay, so I've got out the Bugs B2W, which is the one that has Wi-Fi and you can run an app. I'm gonna try out something real quick with it. I'm gonna try the return to home feature on this and see how it does. So I'm gonna set it down right there on the ground, let it dial in all the satellites and everything, give it enough time to do that, take it off, fly it across the field a little ways, and then hit return to home and see what it does. So let's try it out. And now I've got 16 satellites. So the return to home should work. So I'm gonna go ahead and take off, fly 30 or 40 feet away, and then hit the return to home button and see what happens. Okay, so I'm probably about 50 feet from me, about 20 feet in the air, and taking my hands off the sticks and pushing the home button. And it's going up, up, up. Looks like it's going up to a height, and now it's coming back this way.
right over me. And it's hovering there. I'm wondering if it's going to land or not. Yep, it's coming down. So right there is where it took off from, and right there is where it landed. I'd say about 12 feet away. I don't know if you were able to hear that, but it landed about 12 feet away from where it took off. So not bad at all. I'm gonna do it one more time and see how it does this second time. All right, this time I'm taking it a little different direction. Just slightly to the left of where I was last time. Just making sure there's no power lines or anything in the way. And I'm gonna go ahead and hit the home button. And I can see it climbing. And now it's coming this way. Looks like it climbs to about 40 or 50 feet, 40 feet. Not touching the sticks. Once again, it's right above me. And now it's coming down. Actually, right now it's just hovering. Now it's coming down. So it looks like it hovers for a minute. And again, not touching the sticks. Just for perspective, I'm going to show you where the GoPro is over there. That's where it took off from, just to the right of the GoPro, and that's where it landed. So maybe 8 feet away from where it started.
So you got to leave it to MJX RC to do another amazing quadcopter. Both flavors of the Bugs 2 are amazing. This is the Bugs 2 B2C. This is the B2W. The only difference between them, as far as I could tell, is that the B2W does have a Wi-Fi hotspot built into it. You can connect it to an app and you can use it for real-time view. You can't do that with the B2C. So if you're flying line of sight, it really doesn't make a difference. You can still control everything from the remote control, the return to home, the camera, satellite, meaning GPS on and off, and headless mode. All are controlled on the remote control as well as in the app. The big difference is with the app, you get a live view of the image coming off the B2W. And I will tell you, I took it about 166, 170 meters away from me, which for most toy quadcopters with a Wi-Fi application that's running into your phone, they would have broken up and it worked just fine. It says it goes 500 meters away, and I would be anxious to test that. I just need to find a spot where I can do it safely because I don't want to do it over a neighborhood and either lose it or cause some issue. Plus I want to have a visual observer with me who can keep an eye on it as I'm flying. So the return to home worked really well. I tried it twice, and both times it came back and landed within, one time I think it was within 12 feet of where I started, and the other time it was, I think, within 6 or 8 feet of where I started. And it was a pretty windy day. It still managed to find its way back home. The video footage looks pretty decent. It doesn't have a gimbal, so keep that in mind. So you're not going to be able to get super smooth footage unless it's a very calm day and you fly it in a very precise manner. But for the type of flying you want to do with this isn't a videography quad. This is a quad for flying line of sight and for just having fun with. It's not a 5.8 gigahertz FPV signal, and so you're not going to be able to fly it with regular Fat Shark goggles or other competitors to those. So you know, keep that in mind. It's only going to work with the Bugs Go app, but it does work pretty well. I'm not a big fan of flying FPV with my phone, and it isn't super real time. It is a little bit laggy. So keep that in mind. You're not going to be able to actually fly FPV. If you want to do FPV with a Bugs drone, get yourself a Bugs 6 or a Bugs 8. Those are great FPV flyers. My only other complaint, really, well, a couple of other complaints. Number one is the proprietary battery. You know, come on, Bugs, just make a battery that you can buy at any hobby shop and you can get lots of. I feel like that should be a given. Even though it fits nicely on the back of this thing, it's nice, it looks good, but it's a pain because I have to buy that exact battery that only works in these quads, and it would be nice if they were all cross-compatible, number one. Number two thing is you have to go in and calibrate. You have to calibrate the accelerometers by pulling both sticks down and to the left, and then you have to calibrate the compass. I had to do that just about every time I took off. Now it takes about 15 seconds, so it's not a huge deal, but still, it's a little bit of a pain. I wish that once you did it, especially if you hadn't turned it off, that calibration would stick and you wouldn't have to do it again. But it's a pretty minor thing, and I suppose if it means that it's going to be really accurate with regard to its return to home and its GPS, which it is, maybe it's worth the extra effort. Overall, big fan of the Bugs 2, both the W and the C version. The W is a bit more expensive. I'm going to leave links to both of them in the description below, as well as you can get the full specifications on them from the website, from GearBest. If you like this video, I'd love to get a thumbs up from you, and if you really want to learn more about drones and things like that, radio-controlled cars and boats and trucks as well, I've been doing some of those, please subscribe to Ready Set Drone. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.